It's the dreamscape.
Welcome back, dreamers, to Indie Synergy Exchange, your podcast for all things indie art and creation. I'm your host, Tanner Giese, also known as Number 2 Pencil Man, owner of Tanner's Tales Entertainment, LLC. Joining me once again, my lovely wife, Katie Giese, author and poet, and the wonderful Rachel, aka Andromeda the Artist, talented musician and poet. Frey could not be here tonight, he was scheduled to work, but he will be back with us next time. And joining us tonight, we have another guest. He is Matt of WHAM Stand, our first indie business. So give it up for Matt.
Hey, hello.
The audience loves it.
Oh, I thought it wasn't a live audience. It feels like a live audience.
I got the soundboard. I got all the sounds we could ever want.
Nice. Nice.
Well, Matt, we are glad to have you here. We're excited. I mean, you are our
Glad to be
first
here.
indie business, and you make a lot of cool things. So
Yeah.
I'm going to turn it over to you. Introduce
Okay.
yourself and give us a rundown. What is WHAM Stand?
Okay. So I am Matt, owner, founder, creator of Wham Stand. So currently, Wham Stand is me and a buddy of mine, but who helps me with a lot of graphic work. He actually does some of the Whamblems as well. Whamblems are the magnetic logos that fit on all of the products, which I'll get to. But so he does a lot of the like kind of work to help me out a little bit. And he's in Brazil. So most of it is me. It's Wham Stand. So yeah, Wham Stand is we're indie. It's just a couple of us here, just kind of rocking it out. But I make a lot of stuff for like just indie creators. People who create music, people who create podcasts, people who make cards, people who sell, people who just people who want to stand out, who want to kind of be different. Like I really enjoy some of the things I really enjoy doing are creating like creative solutions for to kind of help people stand out. So I 3D print and design basically a lot of products based around displaying items and like doing podcasts that will just kind of again, like help you stand out. So one of the items that I make for podcasts, since we're on a podcast and we're doing it, is like a wireless microphone holder.
That's cool.
So thank you. So it's on a stand, so you can take it out of the stand. Um, and what it does is just holds any microphone, wireless or wired. You just kind of take the top off and it goes in there. And then so you can just kind of add a little flair to an interview or your content, however you do your content. And each of the logos on the front are magnetic, and they'll you can transfer them. And I try to offer them at a very affordable rate. As you can see right there, yeah, that is the number 2 Pencil Man Wamblem. That'll fit on a
So cool.
microphone. That'll fit on any of the products that I make over
I
here
love
at
it.
Stand. So, but yeah, kind of all started from making a comic stand. So I kind of got into the comic world, I guess, if you will, kind of like I started playing the mobile video game Marvel Contest of Champions.
That was a good game.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
I still
it's
play
still
it
going.
occasionally.
Nice. I played it way too much, like way too heavily. I got way too into it. I played it a whole lot. I made like many alliances. I really had an enjoy time. I met a lot of amazing people. Like I, helped create a community of like over 500 people,
Wow.
which actually it's still going right now. The Symbiotic Empire. Yeah, it's like 15, 16 alliances now that still goes. it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Those people still exist. The chat room is still there. There's over 500 people in the chat room, and we're all still chatting and stuff. So, that community's been great. I played it daily for like 7 years, so it was a long
Wow.
time. Yeah, it was a very long time. But then, so I would make things out of that game. So, there's like the crystals and everything. So I would
Mhm.
make like giant life-size crystals. So it was a lot of fun to do. I worked with a lot of the content creators to like, do giveaways for their shows or trophies for contests. Like people would have different contests in the game, like and things, and they would win trophies, and I'd make them and send it to them and stuff. So it's a lot of fun. So I kind of started 3D printing and making a lot of art and stuff from that game. And eventually, at one point in time, a friend started. He wanted to sell comics online, and he was like, "Hey man, can you make me a stand?" I was like, "Oh, that sounds cool. Yeah, man, I could definitely do that." I started working with a local comic book store, and I was just like, because I didn't have comics at the time, but I was just making sure it worked, it fit, it like kind of just whatever, it just worked, for whatever it was, and I would just kind of ask advice from the comic store owner, and you know, um, just kind of eventually started working more and more and just coming up with more ideas and realized that there was a space in the comic world, kind of in just there was a space in kind of just the art world for what I was doing. So I just kind of kept doing it and kept getting awesome responses from people, and I get a lot of feedback from a lot of people, which is how I eventually just create some of the products that I've made. And I mean, I wouldn't be anywhere where I was without anybody, the support that the feedback that I get, the support that I get, and all that stuff. I've met such an amazing, group of people. Just everybody I meet that comes by is just pretty awesome, in their own unique way. Like it's really fun to do people's custom, like most of the stuff that I do is custom.
Mhm.
And it's a lot of fun getting to know people's creations, like number two pencil man. Like, I don't know if I would have ever, seen that at this point, but I love that I did. It's amazing. It's your character's
Very cool.
great. I love that you do the costume and their content's awesome. Like you seem to be enjoying it thoroughly, and I enjoy that you enjoy it thoroughly. So like, the comic book community is pretty amazing, and there's so much room for everybody's likes, dislikes, whatever. Like there's so much room. There's so much room for different styles, and just everybody, for the most part, everybody celebrates everybody's unique style, and it's pretty awesome, and I feel pretty like privileged to be accepted in such a community. So but yeah,
That's
man, Wham Stand is just me creating fun stuff for people, and it just keeps getting more and more fun, and I'm enjoying every day of it. So I guess
hey.
that's Wham Shan in a very big nutshell.
No, that was great. I enjoyed hearing the story. So
Cool. Thank you. Yeah,
I'm
no,
sure.
it's been fun.
No, that's what matters most. So yeah, you said a lot about how you got started. So it actually started from that video game.
Right, yeah, pretty much just from the the contacts I made from that video game. And if it wasn't for me playing that, I would have never met my friend, because he lives in Chicago, or right outside Chicago, so I would have never met him in person. So, and I would have never got the idea for doing this and stuff. So I credit him as much as I possibly can. XN Comics, he doesn't really do comics much anymore, I don't think, but
Mhm.
I definitely credit him. He was my buddy Nick. He was definitely the one that kind of kickstarted all of Wham Stand. So he was part of the origin story, if you will. Always will be.
We always have a good origin story.
For sure.
What was
I
that,
have
Rachel?
a question. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was okay, so I'm like completely out of the loop with 3D printing.
Okay.
And like I know what it is, but it
Right.
seems really complicated to me, to be honest, because of like all of the intricate things that you can make with it. So maybe this is too much to ask, but can you explain how do you create the designs that it can just create that? Like how does that work? Is it on your computer, or like is it a lot of engineering, or how does yeah, just go ahead and maybe explain that for me.
Sure. Yeah. No, I love talking about designing and 3D printing. I can do it all day long. I like whenever I'm at like conventions, people will always come by that are into 3D printing, and we'll just kind of start chatting, and it's I love it. It's great. It's fun. 3D printing is, yeah, it's a pretty complicated like idea, but it's actually quite simple. You have just laying, plastic down in certain layers, and with time and, just kind of knowledge and learning it, yeah, you have to when you design things, you have to have, you know, the tool you're using to build that, its capabilities in mind, right? So like
Mhm.
I've really learned the capabilities of a 3D printer, and I've, been able to turn them into such products, right? So like for instance, just for the base for this right here,
Mhm.
so there's these like thumb screws that I've designed. So it's, kind of easy just to, it's easy to screw on and off, and, it just kind of looks cool. My little logos on there. So I don't know if that's
Mhm.
coming up. But so there's many different ways to design this, but like, you can, at some points you can like stop the printer and put the bolt on the printer and then continue the printing process and like encapsulate it within the 3D printing. So
Wow.
there's just a lot of different ways that you can do it. And I've just, so when it like also when it comes with like 3D printing, it prints in layers, right? So it'll print from the bottom to the top. And you can imagine if you're printing like a pencil or something, that pencil is probably not going to be very strong, right? Because it like the layers on top of it, right? It'll break. So you would probably print it on the side, and then it would make it very strong. So yeah, it's just learning the capabilities of the tool you're at. Like if I so like I would really love to start making these like mass production in a way. Some sort. It would be cheaper in the long run for the customer, just easier for me to fulfill orders and things like that with like injection molding. I've never modeled anything for injection molding, so it's completely different, right?
Mhm.
So like I've started thinking about it, and like I'm kind of lost in that particular instance. So yeah, I mean it's complicated in a way, like a lot of, some of the other people out there, like they don't model their own, stands and things like that. They have other people model them, or kind of mishmash things together. So um it definitely takes time to learn, like anything, like I wouldn't be like anything, like everybody has their own strengths, right?
Mhm.
Like you have strengths in writing comics. I would love to do that, but like I don't even know where to begin. Like I have a cool story in my head, but I'm like I don't, and then I get lost doing something else. So like that's not a strong suit of mine. Poetry is definitely not a strong suit of mine. I love poetry, but like I can't. I make stupid, like silly rhyming words, but I think the more you practice, the better you get, and everything like that. I've been practicing 3D printing and designing for a very long time. I've failed a lot of times doing it, so I learned. I think I learned a lot by failure.
Wow.
So it's it's great. It's fun, and it's a neat. It's there's so many fun things. It's so fun to like make something in a computer. I typically use my iPad.
Okay.
Um, so there's a program called Shaper 3D. Um, there's also different ways of creating. You can do it almost like a ball of clay with like kind of molding and using different like tools that you would like a ball of clay in
Hmm.
on a 3D printing, for 3D modeling.
Huh.
Or there's different ones where it's called a CAD program. So it's almost like making blueprints, but then you make that like three-dimensional. So there's different ways of modeling, like modeling a ball of clay sculpture like digitally. I'm not very good at that.
Mhm.
I more or less use the kind of finite dimensions and like kind of all of that to, it's just more functional, or it's more like logical in my brain. As far as like the art kind of goes, I just get too nitpicky, and then I just get frustrated and I want to be over it. So
Right.
um but yeah, and so it's just trial and error, and just kind of learning, your tools and stuff. And as far as engineering goes, it was a funny story. I was at a convention, and I was showing off one of the products that I had made for the first time to somebody who had kind of got some stuff from me before. And it's this my spinner rack that it's a tabletop spinner rack for comics or magazines or whatever.
That's awesome.
And Thank you. And it breaks down into like smaller pieces so you can,
I
easily
need to get one of
transport
those.
it.
Wow, that
Totally.
is really good.
And so when I was putting it together, the guy was like, he's like, so, where did you like graduate engineering or something? And I was like, I went to culinary school, so I was a chef for also many years. So that
Oh,
was
wow.
where like that's where I spent most of my time. And honestly, one of these days I hope to open up a restaurant. Like food is definitely like a passion, and I've always loved food. So that was I don't really have engineering. Again, it's just trial and error, and just having, I guess, the patience to learn a craft. And I really enjoy learning this craft, and I learn more and more every single day with it. And I think that's and 3D printing exponentially grows every single day. Like they make these like rubber bags in gel now, and that you can 3D print organs.
What?
3D printing is
Yeah,
absolutely
I saw
insane.
that. They're
Right.
like
So
3D printing meat too.
yeah, dude, chocolate. Like, there's so many things that 3D printing can do, and that it's gonna do in the future. That yeah, and it's something that we'll never stop learning, and I love learning. So, um, yeah, 3D printing, it's simple, but it's also pretty complex. But they're also coming out with a lot of like printers these days that make it pretty simple. Like I got one for my niece for her birthday, and
Nice.
she hasn't asked me for help. So she prints a bunch of stuff. So they've definitely come a long way in the last like 10 years. So
Yeah.
I got
That's
one for my fiance, and she's blown up now. She's had a huge like reel that did pretty well doing 3D printing stuff. So
That's
um,
cool.
it's cool. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
so I have to kind of ask because you said that you went to school for culinary work,
Yes.
and this is kind of what you're doing now.
Yeah.
So is this business more of like a hobby and not like the end goal for you, or is it still like
So
an end
it
goal?
was right. It was a hobby that turned into something fun. You know, I wouldn't say it was like an end goal. Like end goal isn't like necessarily a restaurant. I feel like that would be like almost like a dream, but like I would love to do it just because I really enjoy food, and food's just like a passion of mine. But I also really enjoy creating things like from scratch, and
Mhm.
making functional pieces, and kind of inventing things. And I like solving problems. I really enjoy solving problems. And I think when I was growing up and with food, it was like I grew up cooking with my mom, and baking and all that stuff. So, and no matter, and one of the things I noticed early on was you can always make anybody happy, no matter what it is with food.
Mhm.
You can always make somebody happy, and that really just kind of stuck with me, right? So I wanted to be able to do that, and I know, and I cook really good. I don't mean to toot my horn, but I cook very good. So
Man, you make me
um
jealous. I want some food now.
but so but then I mean, life changes, and the cooking culinary industry is crazy. The restaurant industry is probably the hardest industry there is for business. Um so yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily an end goal, but like I really, the more I do Wham Stand, the more I love it. The more I just thoroughly enjoy making these crazy ideas. Like I have a huge list of ideas that incorporate different bits of technology, but like bring it to a simpler, functional way. As far as like just putting a comic on the wall, or displaying a comic, or making it easy to display your comic at a convention, so somebody will stop and look and realize how cool number two pencil man is. Because maybe they wouldn't have stopped because like the book's on the table or something. So like that's
When the suit fails, Wham Stand does it.
right, dude. I'm telling you, that suit, man. You really like you've inspired me. I would love to be at a convention with Whammy the Wham Stand in a suit, like rocking around the convention, just like getting everybody doing it. And that suit, I love it, man. It's great. It's
It
great. It's
works.
perfect.
I'm telling you, you should make a mascot
That's
costume of
Nice.
Whammy. I love Whammy. It's so
Nice.
fun.
Thank you. Yeah, it's
Wait, do
super
you
fun.
have
I
like
love number two pencil
Oh,
man.
no, thank
well,
you. What was that, Rachel?
I was gonna ask, like, if I had this at my fingertips and I was good at it, which I don't I think I would really struggle. Hearing you talk about it sounds so impressive, and it sounds like it requires a lot of talent to do, like, very technical, and I think I would it just sounds so impressive that you can do that, first of all, and I'm really impressed by that, but I'm curious, like, do you have, like, a lot of 3D printed stuff throughout your house? Like, do you just, like, make things on a regular basis, just like a statue here or, like, utensils or whatever? Like, I feel like I would just be going crazy with just making anything I could.
For sure. Like I did. I don't know if I do anymore, just because I'm also kind of like a perfectionist, where I'm like, oh, that I did that, it works. Like, it works and it's great, it's cool, but like it can be better. So like I'm gonna get something that's better, or I kind of get, oh gosh, I don't know if the term lazy, but like I kind of just get lazy. And if it's like a shelf bracket, instead of like printing it, I'll just buy one, you know. But also it's funny. My fiance, she's always like, she kind of jokes, and what is it from? Oh, I can't think. Is it the Holes, the movie, where the guy was always kind of like, I could fix that, and he just always kind of rolling around. You guys don't know the reference, but I always just say I could 3D print that. I just kind of like, I was just like, well, I can make that, and I never end up actually do 3D printing it or making it or something, because I end up making some other cool comic stand, or like I get busy doing something else. But um I did for a while, yeah. So I would always like, I that's kind of also how I learned to like like print functional or design functional things,
Mhm.
and that a lot of the mistakes I would make, right? Like, so at one point we were redoing our bathroom, and the holes were like just misaligned for the vent for like the air conditioning. And so I had just made a bracket to just basically align the holes. So like, you would just screw the bracket into the already existing holes and just line up the holes with the vent. It took like an hour to do. We didn't have to go out and buy anything. We were just eating dinner while it was happening. And it worked for a long time. Yeah, but every time I walked by, I looked up and I was like, oh wow, that's I can see, I noticed that it's like, whatever's this and that. So like, I eventually changed it and fixed it, or I think we just remodeled it again eventually. But like, so things like that, I definitely did do a lot. And I honestly could still have things around the house that I've just forgotten about that I've done. Because you'd be surprised actually how long things can last that are 3D printed. And if it's like, it's especially if it's just like a little bracket, or a little this or a little that, like, it works. It took me a long time to do it. My fiance kept like, she wasn't nagging me about it, because I was actually nagging myself more about it. But every time I see it, there was like a top on our blender, like,
Mhm.
lid, and I made that and put that on there, and so we still have that rolling around. But
That's
Awesome.
cool.
so yeah, yes and no. I guess yes and no. I also I very so like, I haven't always, I've been kind of I would say I was a minimalist for a very long time. Like, I never really liked having a lot of like things, like tangible, like material items. I just always kind of liked being able to, kind of go this way and that without really having to carry a lot of stuff. It's only up until recently with comic books do I have a lot of stuff now. So, I do 3D print a lot, and maybe that's why I'm 3D printing a lot more of like comic stuff, and magazines and just record stuff, like, because I have a lot more of that stuff now. So to answer your question, maybe yes. But yeah, no. So I definitely have collected a lot more stuff over these last few years than I normally would, and I do 3D print a lot of stuff for that. So long story short, yes, I guess I would say I have a lot of 3D printed stuff around the house.
That's
Uh,
so
Yeah.
cool.
yeah, that is funny though, because I know other people who have 3D printers and they're like constantly printing just little things. Like they'll
Yeah.
be like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this now and this," and then they have like a whole
Right.
bunch. It's like, man, it can become an addicting thing. It seems
For
like.
sure. No, dude, absolutely. It totally can, And like, the other addicting thing is like just multiple printers. Yeah, they've gotten really fast these days too, but it's like impatient, like waiting 2, 3 hours for something to finish. It's like, oh, I just want to start another one. And they've gotten pretty affordable, like,
Yeah.
and the affordable ones are actually decent now,
Hmm.
so it's definitely an addicting hobby for sure. Absolutely.
Once you get one,
Especially
you
now,
can't
man.
stop.
Yeah, especially now. People are making some really cool stuff out there. Like really just functional, just cool toys, knickknacks. Like, man, it's kind of a silly example, but somebody made like a slingshot that you 3D print and it's all in one piece. And it's just like a really cool idea. It's like it just looks like so it's like the shape of a lollipop, and then there's just like the plastic in it is like spiraled. So when you pull it back, it just will immediately want to go back to its original shape, right? So it'll slingshot whatever is in there back. And it's such a
Cool.
cool, simple idea, right? But it's just so cool, So it's just little things like
No,
that people make every day. There's just make 3D printing even cooler every day, So it's fun for
Huh.
sure.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your what's your most popular product that you sell?
Lately it's been the spinner rack. That's
What you
probably
just showed?
been,
Yeah,
yeah,
actually,
what
let's
I just
pull up the
showed.
guys here.
Hmm.
That's for
Yeah.
sale. That's so cool.
Thank you. Yeah, pretty much ever since I started doing like the stands, I
Hmm.
knew very early on that I wanted to do a spinner rack just because it's iconic with comics.
Yeah.
So it took a lot of thought power to, kind of come up with all the different pieces because, printers also you can only really print a certain size.
Hmm.
I can print about 10 inches squared, if you will. And some, like some of these parts are bigger or they are 10, so there's just a lot of just kind of brain power that went into it. So it took a while to get it out. But yeah, I mean, I think the spinner rack's also maybe the one I'm most proud of.
Yeah,
Um,
it's awesome. So, can
Thank
you
you.
like customize it like with people's different logos and that like the color and everything?
Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, you can make every piece a different color.
So
The I would also say when he was scrolling through the website there, the feature or one of the best sellers I think was the custom Wamblems, which are the magnetic logos.
cool.
And that's probably what I sell and make the most of. Just people there are people really there's other there's marble ones and things like that I've made, but people just would really like Tanner with the number two pencil, like you just would really rather have your own, and I totally get that.
Yeah, it looks
Because
so good. I
cool.
love it.
And it's like, to me they're like they're like reusable stickers,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
like here's some of the ones that I was gonna kind of show off that I have that I've done.
Oh, cool.
No. So they also all the stands, well not all of them, but most of the stands, specifically also the Wham stand. It holds vinyl records. So like, there's somebody requested a Dolly Parton.
Oh,
This is Post Malone's signature.
huh.
Um, but then yeah, people, like say you're doing like back issues or key issues, you're doing a podcast. I've worked with comic cover price. They got some of the microphone holders for New York Comic Con. So I made the New York Comic Con one. Just yeah. So it's just like I try to also make them pretty inexpensive, so
Yeah.
it's easy to customize your own display for whatever convention you're doing, whatever show you're doing, whatever online stream or whatever. So yeah, I'd say most of them are like custom
Mm.
stands or custom, really a lot of stuff that I do, and it's a lot of fun.
Are those magnetic, the what you just showed us just now on
Yes,
that?
yes. So
So
yeah, they're all the Whamblems are magnetic logos that go on all the different Wham products that I make.
that's awesome.
Yeah, you could take it off and put it on the microphone, and it's just a quick little snap of the microphone, and that's where Wham the name Wham stand came from.
Yeah.
Very early on, when I was doing the first stands, people were like, I don't really know if I want to, always display my Spider-Man logo or my Spider-Man book or whatever. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, we've got to be able to change it, and like 3D printing and magnets have kind of always been, just kind of hand in hand.
Hmm.
Um, so I've always, so when I was thinking about it was, you kind of, like slam the logo on there, and like the old Batman shows, the pow and the boom, like kind of like transitions was how I was thinking of doing like social media content and stuff when you change the logo. So that's where the Wham stand came from. So,
I love
Perfect.
um,
that explanation. That's such a
thank
great
you.
idea and great way to come up with a name.
And
Mhm.
it's been 3 years and I still haven't done one of those content pieces for
All you need
Instagram or
to.
anything.
It would be the greatest commercial. It's just like,
For sure.
need an emblem? Need a stand?
Yeah.
Wham! And then just have like the
Oh, yeah.
projection.
Yeah, for
Oh, I
sure.
love it.
Yeah.
It's such a
Thank you.
satisfying noise when you just like
Right.
it's ah, I love it. I
Right.
can't
No,
get
for
enough of
sure.
that.
Totally. Yeah. A lot of people 3D print like fidget toys, and they use magnets and like little things like that. It's great. It's fun.
No,
Nice.
this is great. I mean, like, I personally love my Wham stand. Like, one thing
Awesome.
I also wanted to say about your products is the way that you do the 3D printing. Because some 3D printing comes out like rough and a little
Yeah.
like scratchy, but this is like so smooth. Like,
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah, you can even
and
see it
the
like
detail to it, like on the bottom, you even have like the nice little like grippies for the tables and
Hmm.
your logos on the bottom, and it's all nice, compact, smooth, like all of it. Like it even has the different sizes. I don't know if you can see in this lighting, but there's like different ridges in here that you can do different size books and everything, and just the quality of the 3D print. Like this is fantastic quality. And it's
Thank
the
you.
best,
Thank
some of
you.
the best 3D printing I've actually ever seen because I have a bunch of friends who do it.
Yeah.
Whenever I hold their stuff, it's like it's a little rough. It's still cool to see, but it's just like
Right.
this is like a whole nother level of 3D printing right here. Like I
yeah.
love this, and I always show it off to people because it's so unique.
Awesome.
Like you do a good job at capturing the uniqueness of displays, and I think everybody should have a Wham stand, especially if you're
Absolutely.
selling cool things. That's my little
Totally.
plug for it.
Oh, thank you. No, I love it. I was like, I gotta cut that. That's perfect. Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, so like I was saying, I really got to know the 3D printers like over the years, and like a carpenter is only as good as how he uses the hammer, right? Like, like a craftsman is only as good as how they use their tools and things like that. So, I really strive, like, I think, I never really had gray hairs up until I like really started 3D printing and stuff. So like,
Mhm.
I really, I really like I stress about like making sure the printers are in like the best shape so they produce the best quality. And these printers actually, today make it fairly simple to kind of like obviously it takes some like effort, and I wouldn't say I throw away a lot of things, but I'll stop a print midway if I don't like it, if it's not turning out the right way or something, because I'd rather take time to make it a better product and for somebody to be happy with it. I'd rather somebody wait a little bit longer for it to be better than for him just to get it, so
Mhm.
um but yeah,
Definitely.
no, I'm happy that like that. To me, that's the best quality that puts a smile on my face. It warms my heart. Like when people believe, like, enjoy the quality, that's what that's what I strive for. Like, so I just kind of, I think I'm not like rebranding, but like I knew like kind of slogan, like, it's not just a stand, it's a statement.
Mhm.
And that statement is like I get Wham Stand because I enjoy quality. I enjoy originality. And, like also, like you were saying, like, like I really enjoy also I love that you were saying that, just how, the shape of it and everything. Like I think if you're going to be holding up artwork, it should also be kind of like a piece of art.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
shouldn't just be a block of plastic holding up a comic. It's like
Mm-mm.
I have more respect for people's comic books and their creations than just putting out a chunk of plastic, is I
Mhm.
think where that comes from, and I try really hard. And I kind of like, not, like I want the whatever it's holding to also look good, like, and also not really be part of what you're seeing, so like, there's a lot of kind of thought and effort that goes into doing it. So, I I love that it comes out, and I love that I'm very appreciative that other people appreciate it too. So
Oh yeah.
that's the best compliment that I can receive. So thank you, Tanner.
I'm happy to have been able to give that because I honestly, I really do believe that about your product. And having used it
Fantastic.
for many different convention stuff, I do get compliments on it. People like the little emblem on it. Whenever they ask about it, I'm like, look, it does this. And then they're like,
Nice.
whoa,
Yeah, for sure.
it's
Yeah,
really cool. It's
that's
really
cool.
clean.
Thank you.
Katie,
I
do you have,
I was gonna say I did a show over the weekend, and people just always look at it, they're like, "Oh, that's cool," but then when I do take the magnet off chain, they're like, "Oh, okay, cool." So
yeah,
it's
it's got the
it's
wow
awesome
factor.
for sure.
Do you want to say something, Katie? She's our thinker.
Maybe.
Deep thinker.
What you got, Katie?
Also, Matt, I don't know why I can't see you, but I can hear your voice. So
I
I
can't
haven't
see
been
you
able to
either.
see like any of your products, although I've seen my husband's, of course, but which is amazing.
Thank you.
Second everything he said in his plug earlier. Um, but I guess I was thinking about that it's your business,
Yeah.
and you're talking a lot about making people happy with quality products. So I guess I'm curious about uh the whatever. I'm trying to think how I want to say. Sorry, this is late for me, so like I'm quite
It's
tired, so my
okay. I
processing's a little
totally
slow.
understand.
Uh, like some people are motivated to have a business because they want to make money.
Right.
Like that might be their like major driving factor,
For sure.
but then other people might have other driving factors, and it just sounds like the customer's satisfaction is really important to you. So I just was
100%.
wondering like your balance of all of that and what's your like driving force behind like why you have the business. I mean, I know you touched on it already, but like maybe
Right.
like give it more specifically from that angle, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
I know what you're asking for sure. Yeah. So for me it's like quality first. I I understand that people work hard for their money, and money is not something easily thrown away. So I don't want people to waste their money, and I don't want to be the cause of wasting money. I myself waste money. I don't want anybody else to waste money, like um I I started doing this because I wanted to help people, and I feel like any quality business, any lasting business, is one that has core, values
Mm,
and sticks to those core values.
I agree.
And I'm glad, and I could definitely think you would, because like you're that shows through in the product you make, in the content you make. It's genuine, it's you, and I think that's why I appreciate it so much. So, and I
Mm,
think that's, I feel like that's what I've kind of gotten, that the people that genuinely tell me they appreciate everything, is I feel like, that, and that's, I guess, I don't know. I'm trying to say is like, I know exactly what you're saying, and yes, it's a business. I balance it because I understand that I have to be able to keep helping people. I want to keep helping people. I want to be able to keep making these products,
mhm,
and I also, there's a balance that I have. If they want me to continue to do it, I have to, charge a certain amount. I have to do these things if I want to. Now, sometimes I do become too generous sometimes, and you know it is what it is. But I think in the long run that helps my business. I think, one of
absolutely.
my, and one of the thank you, and one of the core values is like, I was never really chasing anybody. Like, I don't run after people to sell them things. I don't want to sell somebody. I don't want to push something on somebody, because I I if they're disappointed in it, because like if somebody pushes something on me and I have the Santa, and if there's anything that's kind of about it, I'm like, like, I'm not happy about it or whatever, or like I'm not as satisfied, I guess, with that purchase. So if somebody comes to me wanting what I'm making, it's kind of the ball's in their court, and then it's just up to me to provide the best that I can of that product, and if it, so I think, to me, that's the easiest way to do the business, is to just, for me to produce the best one. And if people like it, they like it. If they don't, They don't, but also I spent also a lot of time in customer service, and most of the time, and I was a trainer at customer service and things like that. So what I would always tell people is people just want to be heard. They just want to be listened to, and that's what I try to do. So I've tried to listen to people in what they want and what, like kind of what do they want to show? What do they want to showcase? How do they want to bring it out? And I just do the best I can, and hopefully it works. And if it doesn't, I'll try something else. And if not, it is. But honestly, I think as long as I just continue holding on to those core values that I've kind of started from the beginning, I think it'll continue to, just reach more people. And that's really kind of all it comes down to. So, um, I think that answers your question.
We have similar
Definitely.
philosophies
Thanks.
there.
So, yeah, I really enjoy doing it. So,
Hmm.
and I think one of the things I enjoy the most is like people like doing unpacking videos, like unboxing videos, and just the bazooka gum, just the nostalgia that triggers in people is a lot of fun to watch.
It's a nice touch.
Thank you, thank you. It's there was so in 3D printing for a long time you kind of had to build your own printers to have like really good quality and decent quality. And there was a company that always gave little rubber ducks, and it's
Oh,
just cool to just have that little rubber duck. I would love to 3D print something. I just haven't come up with something, maybe like a little whammy or something.
I would love
Um,
that.
a little rubber whammy actually would be pretty cool.
That would be.
Uh, like a rubber duck, but a rubber whammy. But yeah, so I just, and like also there was another company that gave away like the little Harbro gummy bears, which are the best gummy bears, right?
Mhm.
And one of the other, and it was kind of like it was like a two-part, right? Like everybody you love and you love bazooka gum. It's not like the best gum, but you just love it. But it
Mhm.
also comes with a comic, so like the thing was always like get a free comic with every order, kind of thing,
Yeah.
So just kind of like a two-part thing. Just I love nostalgia. I love retro stuff. So it's fun.
Do
I think that
you
also shows in your logo. Sorry, Rachel.
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Um, are you like just mostly online or do you go to like conventions, Comic Cons, that sort of thing to sell your products?
So it's mostly online.
Mm.
I don't. I've done like maybe 5 to 10 shows. I always feel like I don't represent myself well at a show
Hmm.
because I don't really have the best time management. So I always prepare for shows at the very last minute.
Yeah.
So and it kind of I would say it kind of shows because as like crisp as I feel like the product is, the showcasing of it at the show is not crisp. It's kind of
Mm.
messy. It's like a garage sale kind of thing. So
Mhm.
and I just did one over the weekend. It was a good show. I did a great show. Like I've been learning, so I've been trying to simplify, not give people too many options and things like that.
Mhm.
So like I've been learning. But honestly, like the last 6 weeks, there was it's weird. So like there's like little like kind of just ups and downs, and in those downs is when I'm like, oh okay, I really should like plan for a show because I really need to get out there, and then like I start getting more orders and the show starts coming and I'm not prepared for the show and I'm not so like
Yeah. Yeah.
right, it's hard. So I think I do well enough online and stuff that I'll probably stick to that.
Mhm.
Um because I am also it's just really me.
Mhm.
Until I kind of get some help, maybe I'll start doing that and like maybe come up with like a good, easy way to do a show. That kind of is like because setup it kind of takes it's a kind
Yeah.
of a lengthy setup process. Lugging these big metal things for magnets and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
mostly I've done everything online.
Mhm. Um,
So when I do shows, it's more or less just like, hey, check it out because I know most people aren't like. There's a lot of people that aren't online in the comic
yeah.
community, so it's. I try to reach those people too.
Um, so I have to ask, your nickname is Moose. Can you
Yes.
tell us where you got that nickname?
Yeah. So it's a simple one. It's not. I guess it's not like that. It's not like a super like cheerful story, but so about the time I was, I think I don't know, like I was what was I guess I was newly single at the time, and I was coming up with new handles for online things, and my dog's name was Moose, and so I named stuff Moose. you know, the dog my dog had just she had just recently passed away, so she
Oh,
was kind of in my name, and it was more or less like a like memorial for her, just to kind of like keep the name going, Moose. And then I got a big moose tattooed on my chest.
oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, just it just kind of fit, and I met like
That's really
I
cool.
think after that point in time in my life too, I started meeting a lot more people online.
Hmm.
I'd meet people, just through forums for, whatever, and just they would know me as Moose, so it just kind of kept going. I also like had moved to a different state at that time too, and people had known me from Moose, so like it just kind of caught on. So for like half the people in my life know me as Moose and really don't know me as Matt. So the other half of people are like, what are you calling Moose for? Like, what is that? So it's interesting, the people that call me Moose and the people that don't. But when people nowadays they're like, so what's your name? And I'm like, Matt or Moose, whichever one works. And some people really enjoy calling me Moose, and some people just call me Matt. So I respond easily to both.
I love that. That's
Awesome.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, she was my dog. She was great.
Yeah.
She was it was like an American Mastiff. She was as big as a
Wow.
moose and as loose as a goose. She was just like real floppy.
My
So
God.
she was funny.
I
Perfect.
love it.
Yeah,
I'm a big dog lover too. So,
yeah. I have a small dog now, but he's Chuck. He's the best. He's the bestest dog ever. He's just the
oh,
nicest dog. He doesn't bark. He doesn't do anything. But if he barks, he only barks like once. He's like, "Hey, shut up." He's funny. He's
small
good.
ones normally have the biggest attitude. So,
Yeah, no,
you're a
he
calm
could
one.
care less really. He's chill. He's the happiest dog ever.
Yeah, we've
That's
had
awesome.
only like big dogs. We've done a lot of boxers, and
Cool.
our last dog just recently passed as well. His name was
All right.
Joker, and he was a old English bulldog. He was super chill.
Nice, nice. I had a big American bulldog for
Oh
a
wow,
while there. His name was Tonka. He was
I love the name.
165 pounds. Thanks. Yeah, it
Oh
was
wow.
cool. Yeah, he was a big boy. He was. You know that the movie Homeward Bound.
Yes, that was one of my favorite movies as a kid.
Nice. So Chance, right, Michael J. Fox's character was
Mhm.
the dog I had's like grandpa or something like that. So it was pretty cool. Yeah,
That's
it
Wow.
was pretty cool.
awesome.
It was fun. Yeah, he was part of one of his litters or son of one of his litters or something like that. But attached in some sort of way, he was attached to him. So it was cool. Yeah,
Darn, I needed an
it's fun.
autograph.
So yeah, right. I should have like done something like that. But yeah, so we still have that movie like laying around. So whenever I see it, I'm like, oh, what's up, Tonka? Like, it's
Oh,
cool.
Mhm.
that's fun.
Yeah. Big old dogs are fun.
Yeah, mastiffs are like huge.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
they
have a.
sure are. Some of them are. The American Mastiff Moose, she was like 110 pounds. She
Wow.
was more
Okay.
lengthy. She was more
Okay.
Yeah.
lengthy than girthy.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do you work with, you said you worked with somebody in Brazil, right?
Yeah.
So
So yeah, my partner, Raf, he works in Brazil. We mostly just kind of deal through Discord.
mm-hmm. Is that where
We
you met?
I've never been to Brazil. No, no.
So
I met him through the Marvel Contest of Champions video game too.
oh, okay. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, that probably is a good point to mention how I met him or where he came from. But yeah, no. So I met him through the Marvel Contest of Champions game as well. He did a lot of art through that video game.
Nice.
Does did a lot of commissions for content creators and stuff, and I would commission him for some things. He would ask me for some things. So we just kind of developed a relationship over the years, and
Mm-hmm.
um, when I was kind of starting getting busier, actually, I believe it was about almost a year ago exactly. Um, I started getting a lot busier, and just some of these emblems take 20, 30 minutes to like get ready to print. Some take 3, 4 hours, sometimes longer. And some of them take 16, 17 hours to print. So there's a lot of time involved in some of them. And so I had asked him. I think he was actually just like looking for commissions. So I was like, hey man, like I'll get some commissions from you. I can use some more like kind of original Wamblems and just kind of original art for that kind of stuff. So and then I just started getting busier and busier, and I was like, hey man, can you do this? Can I commission you to just kind of do these like 10 logos for me to kind of get them set up? And it just kind of turned into, I was like, hey man, I'm just gonna like pay you weekly, and how about you just help me all the time? So yeah, it's just it's great. I'm happy to be able to kind of help him. And it's been cool. Yeah, it's been about a year. So he does a lot. I launched a Patreon a few months ago, and kind of one of the things, part of the perks of being in the Patreon is like you kind of like get to almost request customs for not free, but like just request customs. So in our Discord, we have a chat room that's called Just Ask Raf, and it's just throw in a picture and just ask. Because most of the time I'm like, I'm just gonna ask Raf to do it. Like I'm just asking him to do it. So like I just have everybody else just ask Raf. So you just get to go in there, throw in a picture, and he pretty much does it in the next day. So yeah, so it's been awesome having the help. Because I get to also do more stuff. So I'm looking for some more help now these days because it is just continuing to grow, which is fantastic. It's amazing. I pinch myself almost every day to be like, man, get working because you gotta go, and also just be just how like really cool it is that like I've gotten such great support over the last few years.
That's great.
That's really cool. And I don't know if I caught, like, how long has your business been running? Like how
I
many?
never actually mentioned it, but like he asked me to make him a stand September 2022.
Okay, wow. So
So
it's
coming up
really
on 3 years.
it's really growing in 3 years, it sounds.
Yeah,
That's
for sure. It's grown pretty big. I've worked with some pretty big companies and pretty big accounts and just things like that. So it's been quite the ride, and there's still a lot more that I'd love to like accomplish and whatnot. But like at the end of the day, it's more or less just where it all came from, like where I all wanted to start. And like I was talking about like the core values, and it's just really just help. Like I've always also like so I've always been like a bigger dude, and I've always like people always picked on me for my weight and blah blah blah, but like I've always tried to stand up for like the little guy, like always. When we go to like punk shows and like some big guy's picking on a guy in a mosh pit or something, I just put the big guy down. Like so like I always try to stick up for the little guy, and like that's one of the core values is always just like I want to like from the ground level, the people doing the Kickstarters, the people making their own comics, like that's who I always want to try to support the most.
cool.
So so that's, I think if I just stick to that, I think I'll continue to grow. So
Yeah, that's really
hopefully,
like
hopefully it
that
works.
story.
Thank you. Yeah, cool.
No,
It's
I
fun, right?
think very similarly with the business because it's like I suck at all the advertising and marketing things, and I'm like,
I
if
feel
I
the
can
same.
just be there to make people's days better and just like make an impact, I feel like over time, just being known for that is
Right.
what's really gonna make it all work for me. So,
For sure. It's like you make just make one fan at a time. And,
mhm,
and it's not like make that one person your fan, like pander to that person. It's just, like I think, especially nowadays, with just how kind of disingenuous, kind of information is and just content can be,
mhm,
I think as long as people are showing their genuine self, people are going to gravitate towards that,
Hmm.
and, I think as long as people aren't being, just kind of cookie cutter AI, I think people, as in consistency, if people are just genuinely themselves and consistent, I think that goes a long way, and not a lot of people do that. But I definitely
yeah.
see that from you, man. I don't know how you say you're not good at marketing. Now, I love your marketing. Your marketing is great. I love the number two bed's great. It's fantastic. I love
I'm
it.
See, this is
That's
what I
great.
want. I want to hear people of all ages telling me this kind of stuff because people are like,
It
"It's just
is.
for
It's
kids, right?" And I'm like, "No, I'm for all ages."
right. I mean, exactly. But it is. Just keep doing exactly what you're doing, man, and it'll grow. It'll work.
Thank you.
You're doing the things right. So
I appreciate
keep it
it,
up.
especially coming from you, especially a bigger company in the indie circuit because
Well, thanks, man. I don't
you've
feel
definitely been
big,
growing.
but I guess I am in a certain way. But
I was gonna say, how many
I
followers do
still
you have
feel like
now?
me. I think I'm almost at like 2,200 right now.
Yeah, that's a decent
Right.
amount still for
Yeah.
like a small indie, like doing it with one other
Mm,
person kind of
right.
thing. That's
Yeah.
how do you now this is another question I wanted to ask. Because I know I encountered your products first on TikTok, and it wasn't even your account. It was somebody else promoting it. It was
Cool.
I can't remember the account now, but they were showing off your spinner rack, and then they were talking about
Okay.
Wamblem. And when I saw
Cool.
it, I went on your website that night, and that's when I made my purchase because I was like,
Nice.
"This is
Awesome.
so cool." The comic was just coming out. I told Katie about it
Nice.
because Katie had to run and get something. And I'm like, Katie, I found this cool display, and I waited till she came home until I got her approval, and then I bought it. But I was
Cool.
like, I found it on TikTok, and it wasn't even through
Nice.
your account. How do you like? Do you feel like you get more of your customers through other people, or how does that like work? Is it more like word of mouth that you've been growing, or is it?
For sure. Yeah, 100%. Like think I have like 200 followers or something on TikTok. Like, I
Mhm.
think I haven't posted in multiple months. Like TikTok to me seems it's so foreign. Like I suck at social media. Like I'm almost 40. Like I feel old. Like whatever. I'm like I don't. The people are like, hey man, did you see that story I posted your stuff? And I was like. Oh man, I'm sorry. I don't ever watch stories, and it's not because like I don't want to. I want to watch stories, but it's like I never think about it, or like I don't get on or something. But yeah, I mean,
Sounds like me.
right. Fair. It seems like maybe a lot of people, maybe just I don't know. It seems like today and age, it's like everybody was on social media. Now everybody's kind of like not on it so much, I guess. Or
Mhm.
it's also changing so much, right? Like social media just and how to grow on social media just seems to change so
Yeah.
consistently
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
Um, what was I saying? I was saying something. What were we talking
Ab-
about?
About like your word of mouth
Oh, word of mouth.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, no, I absolutely do. I think that's exactly where it comes from. Um, a lot of people, yeah, like I get on myself a lot for not being better at social media, not posting more and more, and not stuff like that. But I think just the way that like I've presented Wham Stand, the way I do it. Yeah, I think I definitely just get word of mouth. One of my first orders that was just from a random person was get your meds, Jorge. He One of the things he said, and always he continues to say, and I love that he said it, was that it felt like a boutique like experience working with me. Like I got to know you, saw what you want, or got, like exactly what you needed. If something wasn't clear, I made sure it was clear on what you wanted and everything like that. So, um, and that really stuck with me, and I really enjoyed hearing that. So I wanted to kind of try to give that to everybody else. I understand I can't in like a certain way, but like I try to be available as best as I can, or like I try to give that experience as best I can. Um, I know I probably don't to everybody, which is unfortunate. Like we're all human. We all have our days. We all have our times and everything like that. I hope I didn't piss anybody off too much, but um, but yeah, I think it's definitely word of mouth. I think people. The people obviously are kind of understand where I'm coming from and how I'm trying to do it, and really I think also it comes from just me listening to them and giving them what they want, listening to their feedback. And obviously people are gonna be like, this guy listened to me, he wanted what I wanted, let's see what he could do. So like yeah, I think that definitely where it's come from. And like I said, I kind of get down on myself for not doing social media well enough, I guess.
Hmm.
But I've also done enough well enough to like have that word of mouth. So one of
Yeah.
these days maybe I will get better at social media, and it'll just grow even more. But one of these days maybe.
I
Yeah.
see
I
Katie.
think
Yeah,
it's
no, it's awesome that people,
Mhm.
it's still crazy that people just like talk, like I got an email today. He was like this guy that I hadn't heard from in a while, but he was just like, "Hey, this guy recommended me from his podcast and this and that." And so and he got an order, and I was like, it's still like I still kind of have to pinch myself that people like recommend the work that I'm doing. A lot of people just feel like I think that Wham Stand is multiple people. So when people hit me up and they're like, "Oh, I love what you're doing," or this or that or whatever, like it's kind of cool in a way, but it's also like don't expect so much from like this huge group of people because it is just me, So,
Mhm.
um, but it's cool. It's been a lot of fun, also, and yeah, it's a crazy experience to know that people are recommending the stuff that I do. So it's been really neat and fun.
No, that's awesome. Katie, did you have something? You're staring intently into the camera.
I need to use the bathroom.
There it is.
Fair enough.
There's the wisdom. Well, I think on that note, I think you've talked a lot about the company.
Okay, cool.
You shared a lot about the story. I was gonna say, I showed off a little bit on the website, but you do a lot more than just comic book stands too. Like you said, you had the
Yeah.
podcast mics. I saw that there's even light boxes on there.
Right. Yeah. I don't have one of those. They're a bit of a process to put together, honestly. I really enjoy doing them. I love them. They're fun. I want to do them more, but yeah, there's like just a slide, like I originally kind of got the idea, like when you go to like a strip mall and like their sign is lit up and it's really just like a thin piece of plastic with a big light behind it. So I was like, oh, I could do that. That'd be great with all these logos as a light box and stuff. So yeah, I've there's a good handful of those out there. A good handful of people have also been like, "Hey, man, you don't promote those enough," and
Actually, here, let
I
me pull up
know,
the website right quick.
but like I said, they're kind of a process, and right now also like there's just many pieces to it. I think. Uh, so yeah, I think it's in decor.
Is it in decor?
Hmm.
There we go.
That's another thing. Like I feel like my site's a little kind of not messy, but like just kind of it can be crisper. So that's kind of one another thing that like I'd like to work on a little bit more.
awesome.
But yeah,
That
those
Yeah,
are fun to make.
I'm definitely gonna be getting one of these at some point
yeah, I was just
because
gonna
That'll
say,
be
I feel
cool.
like I want one of those.
We could make one that's like the text of number two pencil man, and then make one just of number two pencil man.
I was gonna use my
Be really
try
cool.
to get one for the company logo, Tanner's Tales Entertainment as well, because I'm thinking
That as
about doing
well.
like other podcasts and stuff. It'd be cool to just have it in
Oh
the
yeah.
background.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what
I don't
other
know if you
cool.
noticed the spinning logo behind me.
Oh, cool.
That logo's been spinning the whole time. I
That's
think my
really
head's
awesome.
been in the way though.
Really cool.
Yeah, let's see what other things didn't we go over? Because before we wrap up, I just want to make sure that we showcase all these. I know you have the Wamblems here, so it's like you do the custom ones, and then do you have some that are just kind of like ones that you get,
So
like
yeah,
pre-made?
I've tried to. So that's also another thing that I have a lot of ideas for that I haven't really just got out there. Like I want to, like when you go to I don't know, like an amusement park or something, and they have the little different license plates in like a souvenir shop that says like it's like Tanner or Katie or Rachel, like the like just name. So I want to get ones that say like Katie's Comics or Rachel's Hall or like something like that, that are more generic. So so when you go into like a comic shop, you could see that and they're there and stuff like that. But yeah, there's like a lot of the new arrival or, I've also like, that's one of the other things is like, one of the other things that I'm kind of learning, kind of touch also on Katie,
Hmm.
what you're talking about, like balance of kind of business and, like, kind of being there for people. So like I try to give everybody as many options as I can think of.
Hmm.
And honestly, that seems to not like bite me in the ass, but it just kind of seems to maybe just be too many options. Like for instance, the text phrases, I think it was like a page back. Um,
Mm.
there's 40 different phrases because I tried to think of as many different phrases as I could possibly think of. And I wouldn't say like I sell a lot of those text phrases. A lot of people will be like, oh, I saw that. Can I get that? But they're not really making their own kind of phrases, and so I think I really would like to, like that. I need to like narrow things down, or
Hmm.
that's one of the other things that I'd really like to, I guess, have. I don't know if it's like better knowledge of, or just maybe just make a decision, because I don't want to make the decision for somebody else, right? Because
Yeah.
there's so many, because it's so easy. It's so, it doesn't take a lot of energy to change texts or fonts or things like that.
Hmm.
So
Um,
it's definitely something that I'm learning, like even doing shows, like I said, my first few shows were kind of like a garage sale, and my shows recently have been more just kind of the basics of what I do, and those seem to be doing better. So
hmm.
I've definitely been learning to maybe not give so many options,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting.
No, this is
Oh, I
great.
like that billboard stand. That's really neat.
The billboard one, that was one of the first ones I made that is supposed to be like kind of broken down for people like to travel with. It holds multiple comics, and it's kind of easy to flip through. So you can also just, if somebody's, say like, like Tanner, you're at a convention, and say you just want to put comics out. You put 10 comics, and you're like, hey, I'm selling this issue, right? You just can just buy one. You don't have to keep like restocking the
Yeah.
stand or something like that, right? So that's kind of what that was, the idea behind that was. Or like if you're streaming, on Whatnot or something, you can just put like a stack of books up, auction them off, and then that's like maybe a segment or something like that. So
That's
That's
really
cool.
cool.
you know
Yeah,
I
that's
really, so if you scroll down a little bit, the one next to Billboard is actually Whammy. It might be named Dooley now, but go one more below it. Yeah, the one it's got. Yeah, so it's Whammy. So that's where originally Whammy, the Wham stand, came from. Was from that stand,
okay.
which has the Whamblems on either side, and they flip up. So like, say you didn't want to show any emblems, or you just kind of wanted it to be just a crisp, just looking at the book, those arms that hold the Whamblems flip up and they go behind the book.
Oh,
Oh, cool.
that's really
So,
cool.
It's so
thank
cool.
you.
It's intricate.
Yeah.
But that's like another one that I really need to maybe advertise more. But it's also a little bit pricier than other ones, because it's kind of like an intricate piece. Like
Yeah.
I think it's like 12 different pieces that like I have to put together or something. So it's, it's a little more intricate than the other ones, than just kind of
Mhm.
printing a stand,
Yeah.
putting the rubber nubs on the bottom.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling through all your products here to show
I was like,
our
yeah, I was just
podcast
looking
viewers.
this. Yeah, so the deluxe stand for the mic is another one that I like. So it's filled. I fill it with sand,
Oh,
Oh,
and there's multiple insulations of layers and multiple covers, so it shouldn't ever get sand anywhere unless it like completely breaks, and I don't know how that would happen, but but anyway, so it's like filled with sand, so it's like really heavy, right? So
hmm,
it won't move on the table, and there's also the rubber kind of nubs on the bottom, so it won't slide around, so you have a
rubber
nice
nubs. I love them.
like a little sturdy piece, like, because I kept trying to add weight to the stand,
Hmm.
mhm.
and honestly that just brought the quality down of it. For in 3D print, I'm not even going to try to
Okay, there's
explain it, 3D printing, but so I tried to add weight to the stand, and it just kind of made the quality lower. But I realized I just didn't want the stand to move, so then that's when I added the rubber things on the bottom. It was just like, I don't want it to move, and that effectively made it not move. So
Hmm.
um but yeah, no, I really like the deluxe stand for the mic.
it looks nice.
Yeah,
It's
that
I
I
like
like
it.
it.
I use it all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
these are
mics are really fun. It's like, I know, like on TikTok or any social media, holding the little microphone with, like, it was like the old like Apple mics or
I
whatever.
should get
Like,
me one of these
I
actually.
know that's the aesthetic, but like,
yeah,
I always just feel people looks kind of silly doing it. So like, that's where the
yeah,
idea of
It
the
is
it
mics
true.
came
does.
from. Right.
I love the colors too.
That's the other fun thing about 3D printing, is you can really add color to everything.
Yeah, it's like really exciting to look at.
Uh,
Yeah, it
that's
really catches the eye.
you were mentioning my walls earlier, and that's sometimes I kind of get zoned out just like looking at all the like, I have, I'll have some of the so I have a bunch of like magnet boards around my room that are, of custom ones that I've done. It's kind of almost like a it's like a trophy room almost. It's like, oh, I've worked with this person, so I did that, and also just really cool logos. I just keep and kind of have on them, and sometimes I just find myself just staring at them, and it's cool, it's fun, it's colorful,
A
it's
number two pencil man logo up there somewhere.
there sure is.
Nice.
I loved it, man. I told you, man. I'm a big fan. I may not show it every day or whatever, but I'm a big fan.
No, hey, I'm just honored that you kept a copy for your wall.
Absolutely.
What are
That's
these?
so Superior Stand is another stand company. They kind of they specialize in like a very sleek, transportable, just simple design to hold the book. So basically, they're like two stands. They kind of have like these little things that kind of flip up, and it's a real compact stand, right?
Hmm.
Um, but they don't, their focus is mainly just on those stands. So they don't, do logos or anything like that, but they do get requests for logos. So we've collaborated on making Wamblin pieces. So like their stands are magnetic. You can connect them via two magnets.
Oh, cool.
So I've made a connector piece to connect in between them, or however you plan on displaying them, to also accept Wamblems, or I've designed other few pieces for them to like hold cards, just kind of various other items. We did a collab maybe about a year ago or so.
Wow.
Um, but
That was
yeah, no, it's pretty neat.
Yeah,
I
it
saw
is.
that you also did a collab with another company because I'm just kind of going through everything that you got.
So yeah, Red Ink Panda, he's an artist. He's a local artist. I met him at a convention I did a couple years ago. So yeah, I love his artwork. His artwork is great,
Yeah,
and he wanted to do this. So we've done a few more things. That's another thing that, like, I wish there was another one of me, or I had more time or something. That's one of the other reasons that I'm kind of like seeking help at the moment,
Hmm.
is so I can, kind of, there's 6 or 7 people that I've worked with, that I've discussed collabing on and stuff like that. So that I just haven't been able to sit down, put it together, and get it out there. So um, that's just another one of those things of me wanting to just kind of support other artists. And I love like working with people and collabing. And like, to me, it's all about like working with somebody. Like,
Yeah.
you do your part, I do my part, we come together, we make something cool. Like, that's one of the other reasons. That's one of the, like, like core values that of why I'm doing this is, I like working with cool creative people. It's fun, it's cool.
That's awesome. So I think at this point we went over the whole website. You've got quite a lot of products, which are
yeah,
And
all
there's a
amazing.
lot more on the way too. And I've even like taken some down because there's just too many on there. And like I said, I feel like I'm giving people too many options sometimes. And it's just like, just too many options. You're like, I just won't get anything, and just they go away or something. I don't know. So I'm still learning, I guess. I know, but
No,
yeah.
it's great. No, so
yeah, it's really amazing.
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you very much. Thank you for, giving me this platform, bringing me on, chatting, and just, sharing all this cool stuff. And I love hanging out and chatting with cool people like yourselves.
Yeah.
well that is awesome. So I guess we only have one more question for you as we wrap
Cool.
this up. So we kind of gave you the shameless plug segment the entire time. Where
All
can
right.
everybody find you? Like, where can all of our viewers find you?
Yeah. So I'm very active on Instagram. I kind of find myself only being active on Instagram. But like at Whamstand, TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, whamstand.com. I have a Discord that I'm going to be kind of launching. So, I try to do I'm going to try to be more social there and stuff, because Instagram just is kind of tough sometimes, to get on there and stuff. But I always have Discord in front of me because I work with Raf and
Yeah.
everybody. So, but yeah, no, Instagram or really any social media at Whamstand, or whamstand.co or com. It'll just kind of re-traffic you to .co. But yeah, that's where I am, and that's where you can kind of find me and interact. But yeah, if you want to just kind of say what's up, or if you have cool ideas, I love to hear them. And I won't take your idea. I'll definitely, like I said, I like working with people and stuff like that. So if you have feedback or ideas, I love hearing it. I don't get mad at any constructive criticism either. I need it. I want it. please share it. Hit me up on Instagram at WhamStan.
Cool.
Very nice. I think that deserves a little bit more of the. Hold on a second. Oh wait, we used this one. I love the sound.
Awesome. It's great. I had a lot of fun with the soundboard when I did a podcast a few years ago, many years ago. I did for that Marvel Contest of Champions. I did a podcast, and I had a lot of fun with the soundboard too.
It's a dangerous
They're
thing in
fun
my hands. I need to get
for,
more sounds on this thing, and then I can do
for
all the like
sure.
oohs and the
Right.
ahs and the
Yeah.
woo.
You got to get you got to get like Thanos saying like it's inevitable or something like that.
Yeah,
You
we
know.
need all the memes. That would
Right.
be not
Yeah.
good for me because I would know exactly when to trigger those. I'd be like,
For sure. Nice.
no,
Oh,
this is
perfect.
awesome. Matt,
Nice.
thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you. I'm definitely gonna go on your website now. Just like after we sign off, I'm gonna be scrolling through
Cool.
all your products because that's really neat.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Rachel, I
Yeah.
think your products when you launch your book and everything, they look
I
good
know.
with a lamp stand.
Yeah, I was literally just thinking, I feel like I need a stand and I want like maybe a light box or something.
Totally.
Oh
For
yeah.
sure. Awesome.
Really
Thank
cool.
you. Thank you so much. I appreciate thanks for coming on here. I appreciate all the support, and it's honestly it's humbling and it's crazy. It's weird. But I love it. It's fun.
Hmm.
I'm enjoying it. So, thanks for supporting me and having me on here, and thanks for just letting me chat. It's great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Appreciate it.
you're our first ever indie business, so
Cool.
thank you for being that. Before we go, we'll do all the wrap up stuff here. Rachel, do you have anything that you want to share before we go? Like any shameless plugging, any more updates on your book or anything like that?
Well, I feel like I say the same thing every week. My book is going to come out this spring, so stay tuned for that. It's Goddess of War, and yeah, I'm in the editing process right now and rewrites. So I feel good about it. I think people should like it. So it's a romantic thriller. So if you like that kind of thing, then stay tuned for that and check it out on elegantbomb.com. That's where my first chapter is, so you can check it out there.
Oh no, we're really excited for that book.
Thanks.
Definitely
Katie,
check that out.
anything from you?
Also very repetitive. I don't really like being repetitive, but I I know you have to be sometimes. So I am working on an graphic novel storyline. I think I need an artist for it still. But yeah, I'm like the brain behind the story sort of thing. So it's a Jane Austen Regency era meets anime style, I guess. Um, so that's my current project. And yeah,
It's gonna
well,
be awesome.
that's about all I have right now. I wish I had more that I could say concretely, but
Be
I
really
don't think
great.
I do. But yeah,
Stay
I
tuned.
guess anyone watching this podcast, if you know of any graphic artists that might be interested in that kind of style or anything, because it's a little different. Oh boy, I'm terrible at social media. I'm trying to think the best way. Honestly, probably private messaging me on Facebook Messenger would be best. So yeah, it's Katie Geesey. That's KATIEGEESEY. Would be the best way to get a hold of me. Because yeah, I'm gonna need an artist for sure. And I think Matt was talking about it's all about collaborating. And I think having an artist on board would continue to give me more motivation to keep working on it.
For sure.
So I
Yeah.
think that motivation is still there because you've been like, I need to work on this book, and you sit down, and when you do it, you're like, she's in it. Let me tell you, this is gonna be the story of the century.
Nice.
So any artist out there, you're gonna want to jump on this. I'm just saying.
I always cruise by. There's a subreddit on Reddit about like collabing with people. People be like, "Hey, I'm a writer. I'm looking for an artist," or "I'm an artist looking for a writer." Things like that. That might be an avenue to try as well.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good point.
Thanks.
Cool, no problem.
But yeah, and then me, we're finally formatting my children's book. I gave all the art to my artist Frey, who is my best friend and is not here tonight, and I am very sad about it. I don't think there's any aw sounds on the soundboard,
Oh.
otherwise I'd be like, oh. That needs to be fixed. We need to get something like that. I'll find one. Uh, for when he's not here, because he is my best friend. But
Nice.
yeah, I gave him all the art panels, all the edits and everything, and he'll put that together. And as soon as that's all finalized, we'll figure out how to publish it. We'll probably go through Amazon for this one, so it'll be a little different. Um, yeah, my comic book issue 2 will be coming out hopefully in March. Frey and I loosely have that date set because he's working on the art now. It's just a matter of inking the last couple pages and then getting all the colors, and that's going to be maybe what really determines when it'll be out. But as of right now, we're hoping for March, April release somewhere in there. But it's going to be awesome. I've seen some of the pictures for it. I'm super hyped. Issue 2 is going to be so much more bigger and wilder than issue 1, and I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy it. It's I know I said it before, but I did a YouTube live action pilot for this comic. So
Nice.
if you want to see kind of like the inspiration behind it and you want to know in which direction it's going for, like going towards, you can find it on my YouTube, Tanner's Tales Entertainment. This is everything that I ever envisioned it being when I first had the idea in my head. And unfortunately, I didn't have the video editing software or the tools in order to do it. So now I get to actually have it done the way I've always imagined it. And it's just so cool to see. If you did see the video, it's going to be different enough that you're going to be reading. You'll be like, "Hey, wait a minute, that wasn't in the original video." But it wasn't because that's how I wanted to do it, and I didn't have the technology. So, uh, yeah, issue 2 is going to be bigger, better, and hopefully get more people hooked into the storyline. Because I have a whole big story planned for number 2 Pencil Man. I'm a little ambitious. We're going to go for at least 200 issues because
Nice.
100 times 2 is 200. So
There you go.
number 2
Very cool.
amplified by 100. That's the goal.
Nice.
Maybe more, maybe less, depending on how the story goes. But I'm hoping to have a great story with all of number 2 Pencil Man. Speaking of number 2 Pencil Man, if you want more number 2 Pencil Man content, social media number 2 Pencil Man, I have my motivational speeches there. I have some fun things. I just sniffed a bunch of scratch and smell pencils on TikTok recently, so
That was great.
I found them at a bookstore. I was like,
Nice.
no, I gotta get these. I gotta review them. So, spoiler alert, grape is my favorite, but if you want to know what I think of them all, go check out my TikTok. Business accounts is Tanner's Tales Entertainment. So I had a little bit more than normal to share. I know Frey also would have some stuff, so I'm not going to speak for him, but I do know Official Verse Season 2 has officially released. So, on that note, Katie left. So we're going to wrap this up. If you are an indie business or indie artist or creator of any type, follow our Dreamscape Empyrean socials. We are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can follow us there. If you want to be on our podcast, Indie Synergy Exchange, message us on one of those platforms. This is a platform for all things indie, so we'd love to have more of the indie creators join us. And I think that's it. Oh, if you're listening on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, comment, like, send it to friends, help us get the word out there. We're really trying to build this platform for all indies so that they have something that they can share with the world, like in a better way than what they might be able to do themselves. So, like, to kind of help, I guess, not in a better way, because everybody, what I meant to say is in a way that's a little bit like more, like we're trying to build a collaborative network of independent people to rival the mainstream. So we're working on that. Yeah, and we're also on Podbean now, and hopefully soon to be on other audio streaming platforms. So I think that covers all the bases. So that was a lot. Um, but yeah, thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of Indie Synergy Exchange. And Matt, do you have any words to sign us off?
Oh, just enjoy creating and, don't stop creating.
Beautifully said.
Yes. That.
That goes to all of you beautiful people out there, all of you
Right.
beautiful
Absolutely.
dreamers. So until
Absolutely.
next time, we'll see you soon, dreamers.
Bye.
Oh, wait.